Hey, everybody, welcome to your weekly readings. I'm not feeling great today, so if I'm a little slow, that's why. But yes, these are the readings for the week ending June 25th. So we've got our last week of June. This is summer solstice week. Well, I mean, celebrate if you're really happy about summer. If you live in a place that's hot as you know what, like I do, it's not as fun. I prefer spring, but it's okay. Everybody has their chance to do them. So we're gonna go ahead and get to our readings here. Now I do these in order of sign. So we're gonna start with our Aries, which is Kimberly. Kimberly Duquette. And okay, let's go ahead and get started with you. So no, there's a lot of stuff going on in Aries this week. It's the last week of Mars being in Aries, and Mars is very heavily influenced in your money house. So if you're feeling like a lot of energy going towards that, that would make sense. I know you're also kind of building up a new company, so that it's definitely a good energy to have, for sure. And so I say hi to Emrys. He's getting sleepy and it's time for his nap. There's a couple of things, actually, Kimberly, that are coming up for you this week. The first thing that I'm picking up on is just, kind of a very stressful week, if that makes sense. I see like a lot of things to do, and it's not just your business. I see some personal things. I see some, I even want to use the word shuffling the kids around, kind of a thing, meaning they're going back and forth between people or babysitters, or having to get a new sitter, temporarily or something like that. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. Nothing horrible necessarily. It's just time consuming, and it's not quite what you had in your schedule, which is sort of annoying, really. The other thing that I'm sort of picking up for you for this week is I actually am seeing money like this. Well, actually, I'm going to share this visualization that I learned a long time ago with you. Somebody taught me like a meditation where you visualize your money window opening. So you visualize a window in your house, or just a regular window, and when you open it, the money just kind of comes flowing into the house. And I've actually used this visualization quite a few times. Um, and I mainly use it, when I just need extra money coming in for whatever. And it works pretty well. I mean, I'm not opening the window and getting millions of dollars here. Trust me, I'd be recording from the Bahamas every week if that was the case, but it's not, and that's okay. But I do see that money window opening and money flowing through. So use the visualization, of course, that kind of helps. But whether you do that or not, I see some money, some a couple of good chunks of money coming in for you, which is always a good thing. I also, though, am seeing like an unexpected expense coming up as well, which is really, really annoying. It's like, every time in our lives, my husband and I, every time we get a tax return, the washing machine breaks down, or the car needs work, or some crazy stupid stuff like that. So and it's little stuff. It's stuff that, maybe you have put off, and it just needs to be addressed, like right now kind of a thing. So it's good that you have the money. Not so good because you get this extra money, and you'd like to put it towards something, but it needs to be put towards something else. So just, it's kind of an inconvenience more than anything. So that is what I have for you, Kimberly. I'm going to move on to my Tauruses. Darcy is the first one on my list. Okay. So Darcy, I'm actually seeing I'm actually seeing a couple of things coming up for you as well. I know you just started a new job, but I'm already picking up on talks of promotion or moving up. I'm not saying that the promotion is actually coming this week necessarily, but it's almost like the opportunity is showing itself this week. So be prepared for that and keep your eyes open for that, because I don't necessarily see it as a promotion that's just going to be given to you. It's sort of one of those things where it comes up, and it's something that's coming up in the next few months, and you want to jump on that. Don't think in terms of, I haven't been here that long enough, so I'm not going to. Don't even think about that. Don't even let that cross your mind. Just jump on it, because you have a very good chance of getting it. I'm showing like an 85-90% chance of getting that promotion, even though you just started there. So keep your eyes peeled and your ears open for that. The other thing that I'm being shown for you is I also see like an unexpected expense coming up for you this week as well. And I think it might have something to do with your truck. Again, this is something that you've been kind of needing to get taken care of, and it just, it hasn't been taken care of yet. You've been kind of sort of holding out for the money to do it, and unfortunately I think it's time. I think I don't see the truck like not starting or crashing or anything horrendous like that. It's more of a uh if you don't do it now, that will happen kind of a thing. So you're kind of at the end there, and you really need to get that taken care of. But I don't see it as being a humongous expense, like taking up your whole paycheck or anything like that. We're not talking about replacing the whole engine or anything. I see this as more of a maintenance thing, oil change, brakes, tires, something like that. And it just is kind of at the point where it just, it really needs to be taken care of before it becomes dangerous to you. That's something that seems to be really prevalent coming up for you this week. I also want to say, because I know being a Taurus, Uranus is in Taurus. It's going to be there for a few years. And it was squared with Saturn, and then that very challenging aspect broke up. And then because Saturn is in retrograde, it's sort of come back. So what this means for you is this sort of aspect creates a bit of a challenge. And what's interesting about this particular challenge is that Uranus is in Taurus. Taurus is kind of a very down to earth sign, and Uranus is Aquarius's planet. So it's like way out of the box. We don't do anything traditionally. We want to do things exactly the opposite that everybody else is doing. And Saturn is all about tradition, and it's all about it's Capricorn's planet, so it's all about, you do it the right way, which is basically the same way that you always do it, kind of a thing. And it's in Aquarius, which is associated with Uranus, which is all about doing things outside of the box, and not doing things the same way that everybody else does. So it's kind of like the two planets are in the wrong place. And what the challenges that this square has been causing for the past few months have been really difficult for a lot of Tauruses and Aquarians that I have been working with. Being an Aquarian myself, I've definitely been feeling this challenge. And currently, right now, Taurus's focus is on long-term goals. Saturn's focus is a little bit on your day-to-day schedule and a little bit in relationships. And so you may kind of start to see playing out in the next few months, while this challenge is prevalent, is that especially now with the focuses that they are, your long-term goals, you're having issues making these goals and following through with these goals because of other people. And the situation that you were recently in, that square wasn't prevalent at that time, but it was moving into it. So and we had a Mercury retrograde going on, and it was in Taurus. So it does. I mean, I can see how in the last couple of months, specifically, you've been sort of feeling like you're just being beaten up. And I can see how you would feel that way. But I also need to tell you, it's very important to tell you that that's not going to last forever, and it's not necessarily going to feel like you're being beaten up all the time anymore. So you get to hang on a little bit longer, and then things are going to smooth themselves out. With Uranus in Taurus, though, it's sort of it's, or I should say, its energy really is all about going against the grain, and that may not be something that you're used to doing, but I'm being told to tell you that, in some cases, it's very necessary. And in many cases, Uranus being in Taurus is sort of there to teach you that there is a different way of doing things. Taurus is a fixed sign, and fixed signs don't like change. They they actually do everything that they possibly can to avoid change as much as possible. Uranus is like, no, we're just going to keep changing things up, because you just can't stay the same. You have to continue. It's almost like growth on a on a growth being fast forwarded in some way. So that can be really difficult to keep up with in many ways. So do the best that you can. Lots of meditation, lots of time to yourself, lots of relaxation time. I know that you are a very social person, and you like to be a social person, and that's fine. But I'm also being told to tell you that sometimes it's you just need that time to yourself, and you need to have that time to just chill on your own, if that makes sense. So make sure that you have plenty of time in your schedule for that, to unwind and unplug. That's really important. Stacy is the next one on my list. And Stacy, I'm going to go ahead and repeat first what's going on here astrologically, with Uranus being in Taurus and moving back into a square with Saturn, which is in Aquarius right now. And this is a challenge that's kind of been going on for most of the year. We got a little bit of a break from it for a minute there, and then Saturn went retrograde, and we moved back into this challenge. So we're going to move back into it for a couple of months, and then it'll move on and move out, kind of a thing. What's difficult about this challenge is there's a couple of things. First of all, Taurus and Aquarius are both fixed signs. Fixed signs really don't care for change. They resist change a lot. And I feel that, that this square is going to slow down progress in some ways for you. Saturn is retrograde also. And when Saturn is retrograde, it tends to show you where you're taking on responsibilities that don't belong to you. So you want to keep an eye out for that as well, whether that's happening at home, whether that's happening at work. To be honest with you, I know you and your energy. You don't like to do anything half-assed. You like to get it done, even if that means that you have to do somebody else's job to do it. And right now, that's really not a good idea, because the more you wind up taking on things that aren't yours, the more I feel people are going to start giving them to you because, oh, well, she's good at it, and just sort of expecting you to do it. So you do want to be aware of that. I know that sometimes it can be easier just to get it done. And I agree with you. but at the same time, it in the long run, it doesn't really work in your favor. So you do want to be aware of that. The other thing that I'm being shown for you for this week is, this is the first week of summer, so I do see some fun times and adventures starting to happen this week. I actually see a few different trips throughout the summertime for you, which is good. It's this kind of I mean, mothers don't get to relax on vacation either. We still wind up having to take care of everybody, but I do see a lot of relaxation and sort of unplugging for you. I mean, at least if nothing else, you're on a little mini vacation from work, and your household chores and things like that. So enjoy as much as you can. I do see if not this week, then next week, around the holiday, a little mini vacation around the water that is coming up for you. And there's something about that water, I do have to say, there's something about that water that just it's like it's very grounding for you, and it's very comforting. It's like you feel all of the sudden that you are relaxed and grounded. And I think I might have to send you that ground and bubble video again, because I think this is coming up because you sort of need to ground more often, if that makes sense. So we'll just put it this way: after you see your reading, if I'm correct, I'll resend you the video. Just let me know, okay? Because I do kind of feel like people have a tendency to pull a lot from you, and you don't mind helping, so you're allowing it, not saying that you're doing anything wrong necessarily, but the more you ground and bubble, the less they're of your energy they're able to pull from you, even if they're needing you for this and that. That's fine, but you're pulling a lot of energy from them as well. And I kind of feel like that may be getting a little overwhelming for you. So let me know if I need to resend that video. Although if you're watching the video, you're on YouTube, it's on my informational videos channel. So it is right there. Okay, so I do not have any Geminis or Cancer, so I'm going to move on to Leo. And we have Connie is my first Leo on the list, but I am just going to pause really quick and put this sleeping kitty down. Look at him. Okay, give me 1 second. He's getting so warm here. Okay. And I get rid of my little portable heater. Okay, let me tune into Connie here. I know there's not a lot going on astrologically, and I think this week, because I did 2 weeks of horoscopes, I think this week is not when the moon is going to be in your sign. I think that's next week. So we will deal with next week, right? So not having any planets in there, kind of keeps things calm a little bit, and your focus has moved. It's no longer on the emotional closet. Yay, we're going to move out of that and move into your support system. And I kind of laugh when I say that, because we know each other pretty well. I really feel actually that this support system coming up has a lot to do with your support system in terms of your business, and whether you have a support system or don't have a support system. And I know that in the past sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not, kind of a thing. More oftentimes it's not. I do feel that is going to change. I do see that changing, and I also see that this week you may need to reach out for support, be it because of a specific client or because of I don't want to say another mess up on your paycheck, but that could be it. So just be aware of that, I guess, is the best thing that I can say. The other thing that I'm picking up here for you this week, I do see a really busy week. So a lot of appointments and a lot of clients. Maybe one of those weeks like we had last week where we was trying to fit in some time because we both are just so crazy. I won't be as crazy next week. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. I shouldn't even say that because I know that could change at any minute. Sorry, that coffee is just so good. But I do see a lot of appointments. There's a couple of really big heavy hitters. One of which looks like a second or third appointment. And I think actually we were talking about one of those yesterday. So heavy hitter appointments, meaning good money coming out of these appointments, which is good. There's two actually coming up this week. The first one I think we talked about on Monday. And I think if I'm not mistaken, this was the one that I had said expect some delays in paperwork, something like that. I mean, I see things running smoothly and I do see you signing that one. No problem. There's just, I see a couple of, I mean, I just don't see it happening overnight. Okay. Just be prepared for some weird paperwork delays. The other one, I think this is a new one actually. So, with that being said, I mean, I know you don't usually sign on the first day, but I do get a really good feeling about this one. Like you almost could sign on that first day. Like this person, and I do believe it's a gentleman, is like really excited to just get started. So, and I do feel that one's coming later on in the week. You may not even have it on the books yet. It'll be coming later on. So I see that happening around Thursday or Friday, something like that. It's be later on in the week. So that'll be a good one for you also. The last thing that I have, okay. So I know that you're going in to see somebody about your knees. And I actually don't see any procedures or anything happening this week, but I am told to tell you to get your stuff in order to be prepared for when that's going to happen, because I don't see you having to wait months for this procedure. In fact, I think it's going to happen fairly quickly within a couple of weeks after you have that appointment. So this week is a good idea to make sure that everything is finished that needs to be finished, and that you've got everything sort of taken care of. Your grandmother is very specific about filling up your freezer, making sure that there is food in the freezer it's easily accessible, it's easy to warm up, to cook, whatever, so that it makes it easier on you in terms of your recovery. You know what I mean. Obviously you're not going to want to spend an hour cooking in the kitchen. In fact, you really can't. I mean, I'm seeing you being able to get up and move around, little bits at a time. You do need to get up and move around, just not, standing for long periods of time. So she's very adamant about that. Make sure you fill up your freezer with stuff that you can just grab and get it cooked. So that's what I have for you, Connie. I'm moving on to Christina. I liked your post the other day, by the way, about how hot it is out there in Texas, and it was like the windmill that just sort of melted. We had a couple of days out here last week where I felt just like that windmill, and hopefully you guys get some cool off pretty soon. And actually, I am seeing it's kind of weird, because this is solstice week, summer solstice week. So summer is officially starting, the longest day of the year. And oddly enough, I see that it's actually going to cool down for you this week, which is good. It's sort of weird to have your 100-degree days before the solstice, but I guess that's just, the way things are these days. Okay. Your mom is coming to me, actually. Don't make me cry. Please don't make me cry. I don't want to cry. She keeps saying something about harsh words. And that tells me that, I mean, I don't see you as being somebody who fights with people necessarily. It's actually thinking of our youth, that's actually kind of funny. But I don't see you, as somebody that actually fights with somebody. But it's like, I do see a disagreement or an argument. It could be between you and Julie. It could be at work. It could be with another acquaintance. And I really feel like when this happens, it sort of creates this fear in you when it does happen, that, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my job, or oh my God, I'm gonna lose this person, or something like that. And it's sort of, this is all in your head. Okay, this is actually not going to happen. And I think that it's coming up because it's not so much the argument that's important, it's the aftermath of the argument for you. It's that sort of craziness that you sort of, the fear-based thoughts that you sort of put yourself through. And if you can avoid that as much as possible, that would be good for you. That kind of stuff takes up way more energy than we realize it takes up. So the least amount of energy, the better, I would say, in that case. Because you could always use that energy for something fun, like possibly making up after the fight, or if the fight is not with Julie, celebrating, I don't know, with her or something like that. You could use that energy in much better ways. Let me tell you, I don't see that this is a fight where you're going to lose your job, or the person's never going to speak to you again, or anything like that. It's not coming through to me as something that's that drastic. Okay, we'll just put it that way. So I think that this that's going on really has more to do with your own fear than anything. Things are going to smooth themselves over, and everything will be good. So I wouldn't worry about it. However, what is also coming up, or what your mom is saying, is that it doesn't matter what the reaction is. You have to speak your truth. She's very adamant about, you have to speak your truth. Because I think she's saying that because you tend to hold it in a lot, and just, I don't want to argue, so I'm just not going to say anything, kind of a thing. And that's really messing you up on the inside. You with this, I feel like it was an opportunity to speak your truth. You didn't even think about it. You just reacted to it, and then you regretted it afterwards, right? You don't want to live in fear of people abandoning you because you stood up for yourself. There are so many instances in life where you have to stand up for yourself, and I really feel that this is one of those. Not necessarily because somebody's trying to keep you down. People do these things for multiple a multitude of different reasons. So make sure that you are you continue to speak your truth. And if you continue to speak your truth on a regular basis, it doesn't have to result in an argument. When you hold it in for long periods of time, and then all of a sudden this explosion comes out because you can't take it anymore, that's why it becomes a fight. All you have to do is just say, like, for instance, if you're being disrespected at work, just tell them, I do a really good job and I deserve more respect than that. And and I intend to get it. And you don't necessarily have to fight. You're just saying what you're saying, and then whether they agree or disagree is really neither here nor there. At least you put it out there that this is what you need, kind of a thing. So I have that. I'm also seeing you around water also, so that may be a trip that you're taking or a trip that you're planning. That coffee is good today. I see some worries about money coming up around this trip, but I think that everything is going to be fine. I wouldn't worry too much about it, or over worry about it, I should say. I do see you taking the trip, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. I don't see ocean. So bummer. I don't see you coming here, but I don't see ocean, but I do see a large body of water. So either it's a lake or a really big river or something like that. And spending a few days just you and Julie, which is good. Not that you don't have all that time together as it is, but I think that this is something that's needed. And actually, you may be planning this trip for your birthday, or this may be coming up for your birthday, or I might just be telling you right now that this is what you need to do for your birthday. I'm not really sure, but in any case, I do see plans being laid out for something like that. So that's what I have for you, Christina. I'm going to move on to Jenny. I'm still Jenny from the block. I get a song every time, Jenny, every single time. I like it. It's your song, right? Makes me want to get up and dance. And actually, I'm thinking, since I'm sitting here dancing, I'm thinking that that maybe you need to do some dancing yourself. I don't know if you do a lot of dancing, but to me, it's sort of funny when you look back on pagan or Wiccan rituals. A lot of times when they were doing the rituals, they were dancing, and one of the reasons why that was happening is because this is the easiest way to move energy and to get energies moving. But also, I'm not necessarily seeing you going out dancing, but I see you dancing around, like when you're doing your housework or something like that. And this is just something that really sort of amps up the energy of what you're doing and makes it a lot more fun to do it, number one. And number two, it gets things done quicker. At least it seems like it gets things done quicker. So I am seeing that. I think I'm also seeing that as well, because it seems to me to be a very high energy week for you, which is good, because I also see a lot of travel for you this week. So you're going to kind of need that high energy, not like across the country travel. A lot of time in the car is what I'm seeing, actually, like back and forth down the hill kind of a thing. So you're sort of going to need that high energy anyways for that week, which is really good. And I a lot of times fixed signs, and Leo is a fixed sign. Fixed signs aren't really known for having high energy. It sort of seems like we get it in spurts, kind of a thing. And it's like, oh my God, I have it, so I better use it before it disappears. But I actually don't see you following those rules at all. I think you have more high energy days than most fixed signs do, which is really good. The other thing that I'm being shown for you is I do see this may be a client, or just, it's not like a family member or somebody you're dating or something like that. It is a man. Um, it could be a client. It could be somebody that you have to interact with every now and then. This guy is I'm just gonna say it. He's a kind of an asshole. Very rough, very gruff, and has a tendency to like be very loud, very pushy, if that makes sense. This kind of personality can really be a trigger for you. And so my suggestion when dealing with him is to definitely do a really good grounded bubble. You need to do a really good grounded bubble around this guy. I don't feel like he's just going to show up. I think you're going to know he's coming. And you know, it's you already know the personality that you're dealing with there. So definitely do a really good ground and bubble before you have to deal with this guy, first of all. And then be aware, you know, if he triggers you, or if you, pardon me, if you know he's going to trigger you, being prepared makes it a lot easier to work through that trigger, so the trigger doesn't work through you, if that makes sense. um and then dance it off. I'm told to tell you to just dance it off. So that's what I have for you. I have no Virgos, so I'm moving on to my Libra, Theresa. So I'm seeing like a lot of I'm seeing like a lot of stuff going on this week. Like you have a lot of extra things that need to be done, which in all honesty is not surprising at all. Focus is very much on the past, in some ways for you, but it is also all about you as well. And so I have to say, first of all, take care of you. Okay. um as much rest time, as much unplugged time as you can get would be good. um but it's like literally like you're being pulled in 50 different directions. And so I kind of feel like on one hand it's helpful because it keeps you busy and it keeps you from being by yourself and thinking, you know, so much about the past and, you know, about the situation and about your son. Not saying that you should not think about him, not saying that you know, shouldn't just forget about him or anything. I mean, obviously that's, you know, it's not going to happen. And it's kind of disloyal to him a little bit. But so I think in some cases being busy is helpful because you're not stewing, I think is what I'm trying to get to here. But I also need to say that that is one of those things that people tend to do um in order to not think about what's bothering them. And the more you do that, the longer this grief cycle is going to take. So just do be aware of that. It's okay to be busy. It's okay to be there for other people. It's okay to help other people out. Um, just to make sure that there's time for you. This is something that you really need to process, and you need to take the time to process it. And if you don't take the time to process it, it's just gonna go on forever. So I have that. The other thing is that this week it still feels like you just like everything is like you just can't do anything right. And you really just have to give yourself some space to be okay with that. It's really important that you give yourself the you know, excuse yourself for being like that. Everybody goes through something like this in you know, when you're grieving, and especially when it's somebody that's so close to you. um this isn't something that yeah, I mean, you know, this isn't something you're going to be able to work through and just I'm past it, obviously, and I'm not saying that you're trying to do that. um but it does feel like, you know, the more you're doing, the more that it seems that little things are falling through the cracks. And so I think that that's that's telling you that you do need to slow down just a little bit. Okay. Um, put it this way, you're not Superwoman. Nobody's asking you to be Superwoman. Nobody's saying that you're responsible for everyone and everything that's going on. Um, and you have a wonderful heart and want to help other people. Just make sure you take some of that time for you too. That's really important. You cannot drain yourself for other people, regardless of what the situation is. So that's what I have for you, and I'm going to move on to Regina, who is my Libra Scorpio lady. Um we've talked about, touched on, and this may have actually come up in a reading before, but it's coming up again. Having a hard time making decisions, and I really feel that there's a decision that you've put off for a long time, and it just really needs to be done. And I have to say that it's very common for human beings to do this to themselves, and to just sort of put off something that's big, and put it off and put it off and put it off. And then when they finally deal with that and they make the decision and everything is done, they just feel better, and they wonder why it took them so long to make that decision. And I think that part of the reason why we do this as human beings is it's sort of a self punishment in a way, because well, there's various different reasons why we would do this, but in my experience, being a procrastinator myself, in my experience, while it doesn't make sense, I find that I make things difficult for myself um, on purpose. I say it had to make sense. It just does. I make things difficult for myself on purpose. And then after I'm done with it, I wonder why the hell I did that, because, it could have been, I would have felt a lot better by not doing that. I think at times, maybe it makes us feel like our own importance a little bit, like, oh my God, I've got so much to do, kind of a thing. At other times, and this is very much a Libra thing, actually, that this indecisiveness, I think in many ways, is just a fear of making the wrong decision. And I don't see that that's possible, that you can make the wrong decision. For a lot of air signs, um, it's a control thing. We want to know what the outcome is before we make the decision, because that would make it a lot easier to make the decision. And we're not privy to that information. So that's just not going to happen. So at this point, I'm saying, if the decision hasn't been made yet, it really is time to just take that off your plate, because you do have enough on your plate. You really don't need to keep things that don't need to be there anymore. I mean, if you imagine it like a plate of food, that food's been on that plate for a long time. Think of how gross it is. You're just gonna throw it in the trash. Really, you need to throw it in the trash, because it's gonna contaminate all the other food on the plate. And and that kind of plays out physically for us by lowering our energy, so that we really can't focus 100% on everything else that needs to be done. So it is sort of a self-sabotage in a way, I guess. The other thing that I'm being shown for you is I really feel like I don't know if you celebrate the solstices, you celebrate the equinoxes. I almost see the word ritual coming up, like a pagan ritual or something like that. Or maybe this is something that you've been thinking about doing, and you just haven't done it yet. I have to say that you're pulled in this direction for a reason. There's something in there for you to find for you. there's something about it that resonates with you. There's something about it that's going to help you balance your energies. And again, this is the word for Libra, is balance. If you're out of balance, everything just sort of falls apart or goes to pot or whatever, however you want to, whatever you want to call that. So if you're pulled to do it, do it. Honestly, whatever it is that you're pulled to do, take out the fear of, I'm doing this wrong. There's no wrong way or right way. It is your way, and that's all there is to it. You don't have to do it in a textbook way. And this is, I think, again, where our air sign control kind of gets in the way. There is no textbook way. However you feel this is supposed to be done is how it's supposed to be done. So stop thinking about it and do it. Okay. And that's what I have for you, Regina. I'm going to move on to my long list of Sagittarians, and Amanda is the first one on my list. Now, I know first day of summer in Washington is like, woohoo, right? Because the sun's going to come out for a bit and you guys don't get to see it very often. And I'm kind of jealous. I really have this dream to just summer up there in Washington. Get out of California just for the summer. I couldn't handle it for the rest of the year, but I'm going to put that on my someday list. I'm in a summer in Washington. But I do see lots of fun in the sun actually coming up for you. Lots of time in the sun. I literally see you sitting out in the backyard in a chair in the sun, just sort of just absorbing that vitamin D there, which is, I'm not surprised at all that you're doing. But I also I don't see that all week, because I actually kind of see that it's almost like when the solstice happens, there's no sun that day. It just doesn't even feel like the first day of summer at all. I feel like that's going to come maybe a little bit later in the week. So that's kind of crummy, to be honest, but you will get it. Don't worry. It will come. It's not going to stay gray all summer long. And a lot of outside time. I see so much outside time. I'm not sure if this is your time to harvest your roses, but I see some of that, and maybe even planting some new roses. That's also a possibility as well. It's almost like I don't want to be anywhere near my desk. I don't want to be stuck in my office. I want to be out, and I feel like a little bit of it's like a struggle within yourself a little bit, in terms of you have responsibilities and things that you need to do, but you want to be outside. I think the girls have a lot to do with you being outside as well, and things like that. Don't let it be a struggle. Give yourself the time in your office that you need to get things done, and then once that time is up, then give yourself the outside time. And I'm literally seeing office time early in the morning when the fog's rolled in, non-office time outside when the fog rolls out, kind of a thing, and the sun comes out. I even see you dancing around in the backyard, which is awesome. Kind of like TV Nicks, just sort of doing your thing. And it may have to do with the solstice as well, which is awesome. I also see at least one, maybe two fire pit nights, and a bunch of ladies around the fire pit, kind of a thing. This is something actually, this is pointing towards something that you used to do. You probably still do, but it's almost like bringing back this sort of ladies around the fire pit reading circle kind of a thing. And I don't think that it's planned that way. It winds up that way. But I also feel that this is something that's really going to heighten your energy as well, because it's like, oh, I missed this and I'm so glad that we're doing it. So that's what I have for you. Moving on to Sheri, my friend Sheri. We don't like the summer solstice. We say the hell with summer over here, and you're in Reading. Although, the past week or so, it seems to be hotter down here than it is up there, which is really bizarre, but whatever, obviously hell is frozen over or something. Um, I am not sure who this is, but I see a surprise visitor this week. And it's literally somebody that just shows up. No warning, no nothing. They're just there. And it's not like you have to scramble to do anything. It might even be your aunt, to be honest with you. Um, I don't really think that there's anything that you need to do that it causes like huge complications. It's more of an annoyance. Like, why didn't you tell me before you decided to just show up here? But at the same time, it is somebody that's associated with your dad, so that's kind of a good thing, really, because it gives him, somebody to talk to and interact with and all that stuff. But it's just annoying, that it's not on your schedule. Which, speaking of your schedule, I mean, I know that you lost your calendar with your phone, and hopefully you can get it back. But I do feel like there's more than one wrench in your schedule. Like you're having to move things around in order to accommodate someone else in a way. Could be Matt, it could be Maddie, it could be your dad. These are just things that are popping up all of a sudden that you need to deal with, and so you sort of need to move things around in order to accommodate that. Again, it's frustrating. It's not like the end of the world or anything like that. um it is annoying. I'm also seeing your mom is here, and she's saying that you've put off going through things long enough. um the way that she's showing me this is that you went through her sewing room, you went through her thing about the bills and all that stuff. You've gone through a few things in her room, her bathroom, and then you just stopped. And she said, I know it's hard, but you need to get back to it, if that makes sense. I'm not saying do it all this week, obviously. Just find some time this week to start on that. I know it's hard. I mean, in so many ways, this is like the worst part of dealing with grief, is having to go through that person's things and figure out where they should go and what to do with them, kind of a thing. But she's saying that, and she's specifically showing me her clothes or her jewelry. This is stuff that would be in her room. I know this was also stuff that your dad really didn't want touched, but there's something that you're pulled to keep in there. And there's a reason why you're pulled to keep it, because she wants you to have it. Um, I mean, I know that there's specific jewelry that she wants you to have that's supposed to go to you. You guys have already talked about that, but this is clothing. There's something in her clothing that is important. There's a link between you and her, and she wants you to have that. I'm not 100% sure what that is. And to be honest with you, I'm not even sure it's something that you would wear on a regular basis, but it's really important for you to have it. I'm not sure why, but she does want you to get back into going through those things. She says the longer you put it off, the longer you're dragging this out for yourself. And she's concerned that by doing this, you're avoiding the grief a little bit, and which is understandable. But it will make the process a lot longer than it needs to be. I also have to tell you to call Sheri. Look at my face. Okay. I'm not fucking. I've already talked to her. Call her. Okay. And no excuses. Call her. Okay. My dad insists that you call her. Okay. Because he has things that he wants to say to you through her, and it's not bad. Nobody's punishing you. Call her. Okay. So that's what I have for you, Sheri. And I'm going to move on to Peg. Hi, Peg. Okay, I'm being told to tell you, first of all, don't forget your solstice rituals. It's almost like with everything, that's going on, I see you going into like the 22nd, 23rd and going, oh, I missed it. I'm not sure what these rituals are. I'm just being told this is something that you do, or you've been thinking about starting. So I'm told to remind you to do it. I'm kind of seeing a bit of a challenging relationship coming up for you this week, and this feels like somebody that's within your family. I know that we've kind of talked about this in the last couple of months, and you're like, yeah, this is what it is, and I don't argue with them anymore about it. But this seems like this almost seems like somebody coming at you just jonesing for a fight, kind of a thing. And it's going to be really hard for you not to fight back, if that makes sense. You don't necessarily like to fight, but it's going to make you so, I just feel all this anger inside of me. It's going to make you feel like you just want to lash out at the person. I don't think that's going to be helpful, because I think that they're they're trying to get you to fight with them, and if you do, then you lose, kind of a thing. It sort of feels like what narcissists do. They push and push and push and push and push to get you to just explode. And so I'm being told to tell you this because you need to be aware of it. And this is coming from an older lady in spirit. She keeps saying you're better than that, if that makes sense. This is a male that's doing this. I do not see your husband, but it is a male. It may be from your family. It may be from like one of those people who don't believe in what we do. And so they constantly pick and pick and pick and pick and pick to make you like prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it. And you don't have to prove it to him. I don't see this as being like somebody who could be a client. This is just a random jerk, for lack of a better way of saying it. To keep your cool. You can explode later if you need to release it, but in this particular instance, I just don't see that working out for you. I also do see you planning a trip. Small road trip, maybe even taking one this week. At some point, I'm kind of torn, because I feel like you're going to a place that you've been to before, but I also see a place that you've never been to before. So it could be a trip to a place that you've been to before, but you make a detour to check out some place that you haven't been to before, kind of a thing. And maybe that's why I seem to be getting both. I feel this trip has to do, in some cases, with your husband needing to make this trip. But it's also something that would be beneficial for you as well. So it's like it could be I have to go here for business, but we're gonna stop here for a couple of days and kind of take a little mini vacation, or maybe even an overnighter, something like that. So that's what I have for you, Peg. Mama Sheri, moving on to Mama Sheri. Okay, so the first thing that I'm being shown this week, your Sagittarius wrath is coming out. Wow. It's like smoke is coming out of your ears, and you're just like, yeah. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that. All right. And I sure as hell wouldn't want it directed at me, but I can only assume that this means that somebody is going to piss you off. Normally I would avoid fights, but okay, my dad is saying you're done with this shit. Be done with this shit. And let them know you're done with this shit. And I think you know who this is about. It could be a couple of different people. So I'm trying not to assume, okay? I mean, literally unleashing and scaring the piss out of this person because they're not prepared for that. But I hate to say it, this needs to happen. Because once this happens, a lot of the bullshit will stop. I think you know what I'm talking about when I say a lot of the bullshit will stop. I don't see you killing anybody, your anger getting out of control like that, but it's literally like you are one of those people that don't get angry a lot, and so when you do, it scares people. They're just not prepared for it, and this particular person needs to know what they're dealing with, because I feel like they've been fucking around with you long enough, and they need to understand that you're not putting up with this bullshit anymore. I think you know who I'm talking about. I think I know who I'm talking about. But I also see that after that happens, everything is just it's all zen, right? And I kind of feel like in a way you needed to blow off some steam anyways. This is going to make you feel better afterwards. It won't make you feel good during, but you will feel better afterwards. You are going to question whether or not you should have exploded, which is totally understandable. I get that. But I think in this case, this was the only way this person was going to get it. So I think it's needed, and I think she's just pushing too far. So that there's that. The other thing that I'm being shown is, like Christina, I do see things cooling down a little bit, which is, kind of funny because it is the solstice this week. Um, and you have your 100-degree days before the solstice, and then it kind of cools down around the solstice. At least that's what I'm seeing. Definitely under 100 anyways. 80s, 90s, something like that. Which is kind of good. Not kind of good, it's very good. That kind of heat just sucks. um what about, okay, I don't know if you have a vet there established, but I think Mookie needs to go in. I don't want you to panic. It has to do with her eyes. um I'm not sure if they're cataracts. I'm not sure if they can even do anything about it. um I'm just being told to tell you that if you can get her into a vet, she probably should see one, if that makes sense. um First thing I hear is, I can't afford that. I don't. That's not the point. Okay, they'll work with you. There may be something that can be done with her eyes. I'm not 100% on that, but I am being told that she needs to go in. So I'm just gonna leave that with you, and that is what I have for you. Moving on to my Capricorn, Rebekka. I'm not sure if you're looking for a job, but I see an opportunity popping up around this week. Whether you're looking for it or not, I see this opportunity popping up, and I kind of see you going, tossing it back and forth. Shouldn't I? Um, I'm told to tell you, before you get all wrapped up in that, bouncing the ping pong ball back and forth in your head, go and make inquiries before you do that. Find out whatever information you need to find out. Um, Before you start tossing the ping pong ball back and forth in your head. It's, I think the reason why this is coming up is that it's really useless to do that before you have the information, right? And I don't feel that it will be as difficult a decision if you do have the decision or the information first. So there's that. I'm also seeing that this okay. I'm not 100% on this, but I feel like one of your kids is going to take a lot of time this week, and I don't think it's anything bad necessarily, and I just think that there's something going on this week that requires a lot more of your attention to them than you normally give, if that makes sense. It's not a terrible thing. um but I think it has a lot to do with their next step, and them making, the decisions and what's going to take place, coming up. So it could be about school, it could be about jobs. I think they just need a little extra help in terms of what needs to be done about, and making sure that they have everything taken care of, kind of a thing. So it's nothing horrible, or anything like that. They just seem to need a little bit more time this week than they normally do. I keep seeing you alone, and I'm not sure if this is because you're not in a relationship with somebody, or you are in a relationship with somebody and it just feels like you're doing everything by yourself anyways. What's the point of having this person around? And you're not liking it. And I'm being told to tell you that If you don't like it, do something about it. Now, the first thing that I hear is you saying, what am I supposed to do? Okay. It really depends on the situation. If you're in a relationship, but you feel like you're alone and doing everything alone, then what you need to do is communicate with this person and let them know. Give them the opportunity to change before you decide to move on from them. If you're not in a relationship, I kind of feel like you've had a series of relationships that just haven't worked. And so there's a part of you that's like, I don't want to deal with relationships anymore because they're a hassle. And then there's another part of you that's like, but I don't like to be alone. Um, Relationships are always going to be a hassle. I mean, there's always difficulties and challenges. I've been in a relationship for almost 30 years. We've hurt each other bad. I mean, I've never been hurt in my life worse than I've been hurt by him, but I've never been loved more in my life than I've been loved by him. So really, it's all about the good outweighing the bad. If the good outweighs the bad, it's worth it. There's always going to be that bad there. And when you have had trauma or difficulties in relationships, there's this ingrained fight or flight thing that every time there is a problem, your first response is to run. I mean, 30 years, it comes up every time we have a disagreement. And the only difference for me is that I don't run. So I think that maybe it might not be a bad idea to get yourself out there and start pursuing something. You can be choosy about it. You can be picky about it. That's fine. You don't want to settle for just anything. You want quality over quantity kind of a thing. But it may just be the time to pull the plug on that and see where it takes you. It's scary, but that fear is kind of part of the fun when you think about it. Although, it's a lot more fun when we're younger than when we get older. It's kind of a pain in the ass when we get older. I understand that. So that's what I have for you, Rebekka. And my last reading is Diane, my fellow Aquarian, with our Saturn in retrograde, moving back into that square with Uranus. It kind of seems like we're fighting with ourselves, Uranus being our planet with another planet in our sign, fighting with our planet, right? I've sort of felt that inner struggle with myself a lot recently, and I think that might have something to do with it. A little bit of a challenge, a little bit of a difficulty. This week's astrological focus is on relationships as well as our daily schedule. And relationships are hard for Aquarians. It's honestly one of the hardest things for Aquarians, really. That's why we are considered hermits or loners, because most of the time I feel like F everybody, just leave me alone and let me live in my little hole, kind of a thing. And I sort of feel that mentality coming up for you a little bit today, or I'm sorry, this week. Maybe today too, who knows? But I also am really feeling the need for you to get out of that. It's like there's a part of you that's like, yeah, I like being a hermit and I like everybody just fucking off, kind of a thing. But there is another part of you that doesn't like that. Would prefer to have people to hang out with and talk to. And I understand it's difficult because it just, being an Aquarian, we tend to feel so different from everybody else. It's like we never fit in anywhere, and that's kind of a good thing, because fitting in is who wants to fit into something that doesn't resonate with you. But this is not about going and fitting in anywhere. I kind of feel like you need to explore some of the public around you, some of the public places around you a little bit more, and just kind of interact. It's the interaction with human beings that you really need. And I feel like this week you're really going to need it. It's the summer solstice for us, but it is the winter solstice for you. So whatever you like to do with that, just do me a favor and send us some of that cool air, please, while I send you some warm. I like how we can do that. Makes it easier, I think, for both of us. But yeah, I do see that interaction is really needed. Maybe even reaching out to a friend online, even if you don't want to do it in person, reaching out to a friend online. I feel like you're getting pulled to work, pulled to do more readings, pulled to be more in these spirit groups. And I know that there have been issues in the past with that, but I think that you need to not let those issues hold you back from continuing to do that. If you're not pursuing it yet, now's a good time to start pursuing that. It's not an easy business to be in. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, I've been doing it for over 10 years now. It's not an easy business to be in. You get a lot of people with their stupid opinions. You get a lot of people who, they like test you, or I've actually had people walk by me like this, like I'm evil or something like that. And that stuff is annoying. And as an Aquarian, I tend to find it humorous, more than upsetting, if that makes sense. And I think that's because I choose to feel like that, or I choose that. To me, it's just easier just to laugh it off, kind of a thing. But it's not so much that you need companionship, it's just that it's almost like you need to be out, to be people watching, to be interacting, even if it's interacting with personalities that you don't like. There's something in that interaction that changes your energy, and it breaks up the monotony of life. And I think that that's really what's coming through with this right now. So, do your solstice things. There might even be a group doing a solstice thing around you, which may be what I'm feeling. You pulled to being around other people. But spiritual journey is a personal journey. It is a lone journey, but it doesn't mean that you have to be a loner. And I think that we're introverts by nature. And because we're introverts by nature, we have to sort of force ourselves into that extrovert kind of a mentality every now and then, just so that we don't disappear into the darkness, kind of a thing. Because the truth is that, as comfortable as that hermit time is, it's also very depressing sometimes, and that depression can just swallow you up and eat you whole. And I think that that's what we're trying to avoid here with you. So that is what I have for you, Diane. And I have no Pisces, so that is it. That's all I have for you guys. So thanks for being on the list, and well, I guess see you guys next week. Have a great week.